Hey, true believers, Englentine here to answer the question, do Marvel comic books suck? Or which Marvel comic books suck would be more accurate. I did a DC version of this, and this is basically the same thing. I've read 39 Marvel comic books. I was going to read the whole line, but they put out over 100 comic books in a month. Seriously, I had to whittle them down. I whittled it down to 70, but when I got to 39, I was like, you know what? I did the same number for DC, and I just stopped. I think I got the main titles in, though, so I got the important ones. Obviously, the titles you see on the screen right now, these are the ones that are going to be reviewed today. It's very simple. The reviews are quick, 40-second, maybe a minute long, just to give you an idea of whether they were good, whether they were bad, and why I felt they were that way. I gave it a little ranking. It's 1 is horrible, 2 is bad, 3 is average, 4 is good, and of course the cops are going by right now, and 5 are excellent. It happens. So I've tried to keep an open mind, and I made sure that I wasn't reading anything that I was going to be predisposed to hating. I went in hoping every one of them was a masterpiece. Unfortunately, that can't always be the way. But I really wanted to give an idea of the Marvel line. And I'll tell you what, with 100 comic books, Marvel, you truly need to trim it. You need to cut the line. There's too many. It used to be where you could get every book in the Marvel universe, and it felt like a shared universe, and it felt like something everybody could get involved with. And I just didn't get that feeling, even though I was going through every book. So anyway, without further ado, I think we're coming to the end of the list of comics I'm reviewing. As I usually say, let's get this party started. The 1-star books, they're horrible. I suggest you avoid them at all cost. Major X, number 1. My parents raised me that if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Just kidding. Okay, so this book really does suck. It's really bad. There's a point where it shows the opening gambit, the opening action scene, and of course you've got the scene where you have to put down the tough guy everybody knows to make the new guy look tougher. And then it's like, okay, we're going to get into story. Nope, here comes another action scene that interrupts the story. There's like 3 seconds of, okay, let us set up the world that we're trying to build, and then forget about it. Let's just go into more action. This book sucks on many different levels. I do have to say Rob Liefeld's art has improved over the years, but it's still Rob Liefeld art. So you do get too many lines. I could go on. This should have been a full review. I wish I got this when it first came out, because this needs a full review just to explain how bad this book is. Well, frickin'. You know what? Screw it. This isn't even good enough to redo and go over the mistake I just made. War of the Realms, Journey into Mystery. The art is horrendous. The art is completely garbage in this book. It's an embarrassment. They should be embarrassed for putting this book out. But I have to say this. This is where the positive comes from. The writer loves the artist so much, so very, very much. He wrote it so bad, dialogue so horrendously bad, that it makes the art look good. The 2-star books are merely bad. They could have been horrible, but they just had that one little saving grace. Marvel Team Up, number 1, featuring Spider-Man and Ms. Marvel. Okay, so this used to be a Spider-Man title. They're making it a Ms. Marvel title. That doesn't bother me so long as it's well-written. If it's a well-written book, I am on board. I don't care who the character is. A good writer can revive a good character. Unfortunately, that's not what happens here, man. Seriously. I've got to admit, I kind of tuned out as soon as I heard the word adulting. Peter Parker says that, oh, adulting is hard. Just shut up. Seriously? No, I'm not buying it. It's bad writing. It's not good art either. It's just not good. Age of Conan. Bellet? Okay, I'm not going to pretend like I know how to say that word. Anyway, this is exactly what I was afraid of as far as Conan is concerned. It's popular. They're bringing him into the Avengers. Let's bring him into this and that and that, and let's oversell him. Let's have tie-ins. And by doing more and more and more, they're stretching themselves thin, and the quality is dropping. Now, I got to admit, the first issue was not horrible. This one is not good. That's the first issue was enjoyable. This Bly or whatever her name is just comes off as a petulant brat, not listening to the people around her who know more about what she's trying to do. And it's just that, oh, my father was this, therefore I will be this. It doesn't always work like that. In general, in order to become what you're trying to become, you listen to those who know better, and she's refusing to do that. That's how they're writing her. But what's worse is they're writing it as if everybody else is wrong for not immediately knowing that she is right. Apocalypse and the Extracts. Okay, my first foray into Age of X-Men. Actually, I read the first issue, and it was nonsensical, so I read the second issue, and it was nonsensical. Seriously, this book, I don't know what they're aiming for, but it seems like they're trying to be more clever than they actually are. This is the counterculture to whatever X-Man is creating in the other books. And at this point, when I read this, I had not read the others. So, wow, was I way lost, except for the fact that this explains absolutely nothing. It's like I said, it's so busy trying to be clever, it ends up falling apart completely. Captain America #9. Now, I was on Coates' side for the first few issues, and I haven't read the last couple and just jumped right back in, and it seems, well, things have gone downhill. It really does. Captain America's in prison, and he figures the best way to get people on his side is to convince them that he's Nazi Cap, so he hurts a bunch of guards to get it done. It's a continued destruction of the Captain America character, it feels like. It just doesn't fit with who Steve Rogers is. Not a big fan. Not a big fan of the writing. The art is okay, but the writing is bad. Web of Carnage. Well, that was boring. I gotta tell you, the big problem with this book is that you absolutely need to have read what came before in order to get what's going on now. I didn't. So, because I've missed like the last couple of months, and I'm lost. Now, they go to a town, and it's empty, and they're trying to figure out what happened to the people. They go to a church, and this is happening right here, where people are giving themselves into Carnage. Apparently, they see Carnage as a god right now. And it's all trying to figure that out, except for they already know it. And you kind of know it, too, because it's Web of Carnage. And at the end, Carnage is like, I'm a god. Okay, yeah, we kind of got that from the title. Give us something more. Give us something to do. Give us some action or something, some sort of story beyond what the title already tells us. Avengers #17 has the Avengers going up against vampires. I mean, they got Blade on their team. You have to go after vampires, right? Okay, so I'm going to ignore the bit about She-Hulk because you guys should know what I think about She-Hulk. They messed up the story there. The vampires themselves and fighting the vampires. By the way, this scene looks horrible. It really does. Look at the art there. It is just awful, awful. Anyway, there's this thing that guys say, the guy who talks about having sex a lot is the virgin, that thing. But another thing is tough guys don't have to say they're tough. And it really does seem like the Avengers are the tough guys. I'm so tough, I'm going to get you. I'm going to whip your ass now. Grr, fight me now. And that goes all the way throughout the book. And after a while, I was like, oh gosh, stop the chest thumping, please. It's not a horrible book, but it definitely isn't average. Okay, so this is a weird situation. This has an incredible cliffhanger. I mean, it's one that you look at and you go, holy crap, what's going to happen next? I really want to read this. Everything leading up to that cliffhanger is not good. Okay, here's a little more. The parents are decent characters. The friend is okay. The boyfriend is a decent character from what we've seen. Kamala Khan is a spoiled little freaking brat, and that's the big problem. They made the main character unlikable, and it's just so hard to read the adventures of an unlikable character if they're not going to give us another hook. Like Constantine's unlikable, but he's also cool. Kamala Khan is just a brat. and it doesn't work. But still, I got to give credit where credit is due. That was a cool cliffhanger. Captain Marvel number 4 pits Captain Marvel versus Rogue. This might be why it was in the top 10 for the week, because people want to see Rogue kick the teetotal hell out of Captain Marvel. Let me put it to you in this way. I can't take anybody, much less comic book characters, anybody I've seen in real life, because it's an 80s cut, but that haircut where you shave half the hair and you flip over the other half, it's stupid. I can't take anything serious like that. And I couldn't even do it in the 80s when I saw that haircut. That being said, the writing is pretty bad. I mean, it's really bad. The art is actually pretty good, though. I have to give it to that. I enjoyed watching Rogue beat the teetotal hell out of Captain Marvel, but then wondered, okay, if Rogue absorbed all of her memories and everything, how does Captain Marvel then retain them in Rogue's body? Like, she retains her personality and takes over Rogue's body. Didn't like that part. That's not how Rogue works. Uncanny X-Men number 15 has Captain America visiting the X-Mansion in order to warn them about the extremism and how they handle it. And then, of course, the X-Men go and handle some mutant extremists. It really does feel like the Uncanny X-Men have lost their way. I liked this actually at the beginning. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't bad. But now it really does feel like there's no coherence to the X titles anymore. And I think that's a huge problem. They're trying to get sales, of course, with the Age of X-Man because, of course, they're trying to get money off of nostalgia through Age of Apocalypse and all that kind of stuff. And it's a similar storyline as well. They're creatively bankrupt, it seems like. But I'm sorry, gang, I can't recommend this book anymore. Spider-Man Life Story, the 60s. So it's Peter Parker. He's doing a Spider-Man thing at the same time the Vietnam War is going on, and he's wondering, should he go over and use his powers to help the war effort? And he even manages to talk to Captain America, who says, well, I'm not so sure about the war myself, so I think by the end of the book I'm going to be against the United States. Yeah, that happens. There you go, gang. Captain America fights against the United States in Vietnam. There you go. That's all I'm going to say. Black Panther number 10. If you look at the cover, you can't get the idea that they're in space. So I'm reading this, and I remember reading the first few, and I was like, okay, it's all right. It's just got a bad premise, and it doesn't belong in space. And I come back to it now. I haven't read the last few issues, and it reminds me of the saying Stan Lee said, every issue is your first. So I figure there has to be something in the dialogue or the narration that's going to catch me up. Okay, this is why they're doing what they're doing. This is what they're doing. That kind of thing. Unfortunately, none of it. And I understand I'm asking for a little bit of hand-holding. Not all the way through the book. Just enough to get me into the story, and that never happened. So the dialogue was gobbledygook. What were they doing? What were the motivations? I have no idea, and ended up just being nothing. I read the book. I had no feeling toward it whatsoever. X-23 number 11. I'm of two minds of this one. First of all, the story structure is horrible. She is telling a story to herself as if she would tell a story to Honey Badger, but Honey Badger is in the story, so even if she was there, it would be silly of her to be telling this story because Honey Badger already knows it. She was there. So story structure's all over the place, and it just doesn't work. On the other hand, according to this book, Honey Badger is gone, and that's a good thing. So, yeah, 50-50. Age of X-Men, Next Gen. Okay, so I'm getting kind of a handle on this, and I enjoyed this issue. I like this book. I could see it going somewhere. I was not a fan. Okay, so let me get a little bit into it. Glob, I think that was his name, discovered that he is not taking to whatever X-Man's programming is, and he's remembering life before it, so he figures it's his superpower, and so he tries to cover up other people with it so they can snap out of the spell, and they're having sort of an existential crisis due to it as well. I thought this book was enjoyable. Now, granted, in the middle, it kind of dips in quality. The art is fine. It's the story that just kind of dips. It gets a little slow, and then it picks back up at the end. Overall, decent, not great. Cosmic Ghost Rider Destroys Marvel History #2 basically tells the story of Spider-Man and his black outfit, a little bit more in the past as well. It's useless. There's nothing to it. It's not exciting. It's not funny. It's there. If you don't know the history, you're going to get more out of it. I do know the history. I've read these books they're talking about, and this book was just dull. Really boring. Not bad. Not good either. Just, they made a comic book. Congratulations. Star Wars #64. Let me tell you, let me be honest. Usually I will be praising the heck out of these books. I love the Star Wars books from Marvel Comics. They're good. So here's the thing, and I think I've said this on 1 or 2 titles this month for Marvel. They can't all be winners. And unfortunately, this wasn't. I'm sorry I took so long to say that because the cover is beautiful for this. I like the art in it. I like the fact they make everybody look good. It's just the story. It's such an exposition dump this month. And usually it's better paced, but this time, no, it's just slowed to a crawl. It's like they hurry up to get somewhere, and then as soon as they're there, it's just a sludge to get through. Once again, this is a great series with this time a bad issue. As Guardians of the Galaxy #8, I read the first issue and pretty much gave up on this, but since it's part of the War of the Realms storyline, I figured, okay, I'm going to read this one for this particular video. It is one of the better titles of Wars of the Realms. I'm going to give it that much. It's enjoyable, at least. It's completely off in the language that's being used. This is a case of the writer putting themselves into the characters rather than finding an individual voice for the characters. Everybody sounds the same. If you read it out loud, you would not be able to tell who's talking just by the dialogue, and that was a problem. But overall, I actually thought it was enjoyable. I wouldn't give it a 4-star, but at least it made it to the 3-star level. Doctor Strange #12 could have been excellent. This premise, the plot is awesome, and I like it. I like where they went with it. Unfortunately, Mark Waid, who is a comic book veteran of, 30 years now, fell to rookie comic book tropes. We've seen Doctor Strange written in a way where he is stupid, therefore the villains can get the upper hand. And that should not be the way. You shouldn't make your hero stupid to make the villains look awesome. You make the villains look awesome and the heroes more awesome by having them overcome it. That's not the way it went, and unfortunately, an excellent story just ended up flat. War of the Realms #1. It is here a couple of weeks ago. Some people have already read this. Anyway, all right, so this is a really cool plot. As a matter of fact, I liked the first few pages. And then we got down to Earth and modern day talking. It did not work. The dialogue is horrendous in this book, and it brings the entire thing down. And like I said, up until they got to Earth, that they tried to put in humor and everything, it was fine, but then the dialogue just weighs everything down. There's no good dialogue in this book. Age of X-Men, Prisoner X. This is a case of wash, rinse, and repeat. Seriously, so Bishop gets a note, and he's walking around trying to find out who sent him the note, and he'll ask. They'll get into a little debate, and then a fight ensues. Go on to the next person, ask, get into a debate, fight ensues. It's the same thing over and over again. It got really boring really fast. It wasn't, it wasn't boring. It was just the same thing over and over again. Ironheart #4 is a very exposition-heavy book. One thing I want to point out, though, is that damn near every issue now, she's had this run-in with the dean, and, we want the backers to come up, and she doesn't show them or anything like that. The college is giving her a lab, and they expect results. They want something to come out of it. It's not like we're just going to keep bankrolling you, yada, yada, that kind of stuff. But I'm waiting for the issue where she's booted out of her lab. That's all. The rest of it was okay. A bad guy shows up and does bad guy things, says bad guy things, gets her mad, and they fight. Like I said, it's heavily exposition. It's not a bad book, actually. Ironheart has so far proved to be a decent series for Marvel Comics. Not a great one, but standing next to some of the other titles Marvel has, it's, better than average. Age of X-Men, Marvelous X-Men. Okay, so this is Magneto and Storm. And, okay, I enjoy the bit with Storm where she's explaining why her power is a dangerous one. I like that part. It kind of delved into the character a bit. Otherwise, this is literally a 22-page bitch fest between Magneto and Storm. It's like, well, no, we got to do this, but I got to do this. It's almost like they're really driving that Xavier versus Magneto, both good guys on the different sides of the coin thing on home, but it's okay to put things in between it, Thor number 11. So I've mentioned a lot about deconstructionist writing and how much I am not a fan of it. In this case, we've got Thor unsure of who he is, and I understand if your mother never looks at you as anything but her child. Still, he's here unsure of himself. This is not the Thor that we knew. It's not the Thor that we've come to love. It's like I said, it's a deconstructionist Thor. They're trying to break him down to find out who he is. Well, he's been alive for thousands of years. If he doesn't know by now, he isn't finding out. Miles Morales Spider-Man number 4. It's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's very thinly veiled, but I don't think they're trying to veil it too much. And in all honesty, it's really cartoonish. I'm sorry. I like this series, but, not every issue can be a winner, and this is one of those. It's got some entertainment. It's got an enjoyment factor to it, but considering how much I liked the other issues, this one was a bit of a disappointment. Once again, it's not bad. It's just, it could be so much better. Spider-Man Pandering. Okay, it's Symbiote Spider-Man number 1. But, oh my gosh, is this really pandering towards the, us, me. Old men like myself, 50-year-old people who remember when Spider-Man got the symbiote costume. And, man, if you could only feel how it felt back then, you're going to love this. It's actually not all that bad, to tell you the truth. The big problem with it, though, is Peter Parker and Spider-Man are boring in it. Let me follow Mysterio. He's the interesting character. He's the one that seems to have an arc. I want to see where he goes rather than where Spider-Man goes in this book. Guardians of the Galaxy number 3. There are things I really like and things I don't. What I really liked about this book is the bits with Star Fox when he's looking at the hologram of Thanos and he's saying that all of his brothers, the Titans, they exist now in relation to Thanos and how everybody relates to them, how everybody sees how they're together and all that kind of thing. But what I really don't like is a Groot that talks, and an arrogant one at that. It just, I don't know. I didn't like that whole scene. It just doesn't fit for some reason for me. But overall, the book's actually pretty good. Age of X-Men, Nightcrawler, number 2. So here's the thing. If you want to know the inner workings of movie studios and warring movie studios at that, this is the book to pick up, man. Because seriously, this is actors worrying about their image, fighting with other studios. Oh my gosh, you're doing this and we need you to do that. No, we're not going to do this and that. That is what this book is all about. It's about image. This book is about image and appearance, and the fact that it stars Nightcrawler is actually pretty cool. I may be sounding catty towards it, but in all honesty, so far this was the best of the Age of X-Men books. I enjoyed this one. Wolverine Infinity Watch number 2 is fun. I have to admit, like I said, I got to give credit where credit is due. Usually the word infinity in anything puts me to sleep. This was kind of classic 90s. It's got just thread enough of a story that keeps you interested, and then the rest of it's action. It's like a 90s book brought back into modern day. Here's the plot, the whole thing. Big guy wants the stone, going after the stone. Wolverine and Loki try to stop him. That's it. It's as simple as that. And for some reason, I think it works. The Extremist, Age of X-Men Extremists. This is number 2, by the way. This is good. I like this book. It was all about how mutants aren't allowed to have feelings of desire and such towards each other. And it was really a character study. It's a slice of life kind of story, but that's okay. It used to be where X-Men would take a break and have a little bit of characterization, so we'd get to feel for them during the action. Granted, I understand that sometimes these books become all that, but this was handled very well, and I am invested in these people now. Mr. and Mrs. X number 9. Now, here's where I stand on this. Mr. and Mrs. X has consistently been one of the, if not the best of the X-Men titles. This is no exception. It's a very entertaining look at Rogue Psyche and some of her past. She's kind of trapped in her own mind, while, oh my gosh, I forgot her name, Spiral and Gambit are protecting her body. There was a line in this scene right here where he says, "You see me in action." And I thought, well, you're a thief. If we see you in action, you're not doing a good job. Of course, he praises himself, and I was like, yeah, I don't think so. Overall, this is a very good book. It's very entertaining, and yes, like I said, it is the, if not one of the best of the X-Men titles. Invaders number 4. What a strong issue. Now, this is all about, as you could tell by the cover, Namor. This is telling you the history before Johnny Storm discovers Namor and kind of reawakens him, and how he lost his memory. And as you can see, there's Charles Xavier on the cover. It's a really entertaining book. It really is. You just dive into a history we just haven't known yet, and it's very fascinating, which I'm kind of surprised. I'm not a big fan of retcon, but this isn't so much retcon as just kind of filling in, I guess. But still, a lot of fun. You should be checking out the Invaders. Deadpool number 11 feels like it's a practical joke played on the reader. I'm not saying it's bad. It's actually a pretty good story. It's fun. It's funny. It's entertaining. You get to see an alternate Batman's origin, and that's how it plays. That's how the book reads. It reads like an alternate universe's Batman's origin story. And the whole point of the origin story is to take revenge on Deadpool. And then, of course, things do not exactly go the way you would expect, or you should expect, I guess. And like I said, thoroughly entertaining. Loved it, but it's a practical joke on the reader. The Amazing Spider-Man number 19. Okay, man. First of all, yes, this is a takeoff of The Dangerous Game. Basically, all the animal creatures are out there being hunted by people who paid to hunt them, I guess. But this is very well done. I mean, it's a derivative, like I said, but it's still entertaining. It's well done. It was exactly what I wanted. I like the fact that the villains aren't dumb enough in this issue to say, well, we just need to ignore the people chasing us and go after Spider-Man. Instead, they say, well, we have to work with them. Overall, I am looking forward to the next issue. The Immortal Hulk number 16 is very weird to me because I enjoyed it. I really like this book, and I've been liking Immortal Hulk. But this seems to have a lot going on and nothing going on all at the same time. It's very weird. It's like what you see on the page is entertaining and it's fun, but it just seems to be even keel all throughout, including the ending where all the action happens. So it just felt very weird to read this book. It was decent. The Savage Sword of Conan number 4. It's kind of funny the way they treat Conan. It's very different from the rest of the Marvel Universe in the fact that they realize they have to write good stories for Conan. He deserves it. That's the way it seems to be, because they're more than willing to trash Spider-Man. They're more than willing to trash Captain America and Black Panther and so forth and so on. It really does feel like a lot of effort is going into Savage Sword of Conan, and it shows here as well, as he's trying to protect a friend who's been taken over by the enemy. I have a lot of fun with the Conan titles. This is no exception. This is a series you should be getting. Star Wars Age of Rebellion Princess Leia is just one more one-shot in what should have been like Star Wars characters something or other, name the series, but instead they're doing all these one-shots because number ones sell. This isn't going to be an ongoing, it's a one-shot, but it is a very good one-shot. It's very entertaining. It's the story between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi from Leia's perspective and how she got the bounty hunter perspective. And it is, these things have just been a lot of fun. And that's all we really want out of Star Wars, right? Fun? I would think so. The Punisher, number 10. I've said before, it's really nice to have the Punisher back. The Punisher should be the boogeyman for bad guys. And he's kind of written that way. You have Baron Zemo, who's very confident he captured the Punisher and he's not getting away and he's going to do all sorts of bad things for it. And here comes Jigsaw and he basically says, no, you've been set up and you better go shoot him in the freaking head and all that. You know, it's a very good book. And I know this will sound kind of trite because if you write any character well, they're good. But the Punisher done well is so freaking good. Fantastic Four, number 8. This is the continuation of the Galactus saga, I guess. I don't know what you would call it. Anyway, in this particular case, we have Dr. Doom's captured Galactus, and he is using him as a power source for Latveria and the planet Earth. And he also captured the Fantastic Four to stage some live executions to show what happens when, you know, you go against his rule and such. This is actually written pretty well, and the art is not bad for the story. I could see where it wouldn't fit in other books, but it does fit here. I'm enjoying this, and I love the way it ends. Looking forward to the next series, but I'm kind of surprised because Dan Slott really was dropping the ball on Spider-Man. It seems like he's got passion for the Fantastic Four, and it's showing. And the 5-star books are excellent. They may not be Watchmen quality, but man, they get the job done. Daredevil number 3. Holy crap, this is what I was missing? This is what I was missing in the last couple of months when I couldn't buy comics. This is really, really good. I mean, this is oh my gosh. If you're a Daredevil fan, this is like Miller in the 80s good. He's been, I liked Mayor Fisk in the way that story had ended then, but I had no idea it was going to continue. But in this one, you get basically Daredevil's busted. He gets caught by the cops and he tries to fight his way out, but nope, can't do it. Put in the car, the whole 9 yards. It's a lot of fun, man. There you go, gang. That's my take on Marvel Comics. And yes, I do know that there are many left off the list, including like Tony Stark Iron Man. I think I forgot that. That's the biggest name probably that's left off. You have stuff like Black Widow, Runaways, Champions, things like that as well. But what did you think of what was there? Did you like what I had to say? Do you disagree? Do you agree? Let me know in the comments below. What are your favorite Marvel comics and which ones that you read are your least favorite? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to click like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. Cool things happen around these parts. And if you do like the video, by all means, click on one of the boxes that are popping up around about now. And if you don't mind helping out the channel, please go on over to Patreon or to Ko-Fi. The links are in the description below. Drop $1 in the till and helps keep the lights on, helps keep making videos for you. Thank everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.